you go.
We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxing Ego Unpacked. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Tony Bellew says Usyk would defeat Wilder, and he's the easiest out of the top heavyweights to beat for Usyk. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing if you want to become part of the gang. Notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working. Link in the description, Sky Sports. They have an interview with Tony Bellew, and you guys see it. Bellew, Usyk would defeat Wilder, right? And he's giving his thoughts. I want to read his actual quotes. Usyk versus Witherspoon. Tony Bellew explains how Alexander Usyk can dominate and how he may fall short. Usyk knocked out Bellew, which we know. Tony Bellew, what are Usyk's strengths and weaknesses? Bellew said, being in there with him, you notice straight away that he's always doing something and making you think every step of the way. His footwork, unbelievable for such a big man. And it's his feet that get him into position for attacks. For his weaknesses, I still think he's a little bit open and can be caught. Watching his amateur fights, there was always a reaction from him when he got caught clean, but no one has exploited it that so far in the pro. His chin is up in the air sometimes, and if that continues, then he might get caught one time. What did you struggle with most when you fought him? Pinning him down was hard because, as I've said, his footwork is just another level. I've planned to get close and really work him over, but anytime I tried to make a fight out of it, he was just too elusive. His feet will get him very far in the sport, and the way he feints and sets up his attacks, also impressive. How can Usyk be hurt? The answer is simple, but executing it is another matter. You got to hit him clean. There are a few occasions from the amateurs where he got caught flush, and he doesn't like it. Landing that shot is going to be hard because he's such a brilliant defensive fighter, but I think he can find the target, then there's a good chance he could go. Doing that is a difficult task though. Right, let me skip around. Out of Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, and Deontay Wilder, who is Usyk most likely to beat? Tony Bellew said Wilder, and that's an easy answer. Don't get me wrong, if Wilder lands on him, then it's not going to end well for Usyk, but you can say that about any heavyweight who Wilder lands on. I just think Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury are too big for him. Fundamentally, he's a much better boxer than all of them, and I include Fury in that. But he's just too small to compete with them for 12 rounds. I think the size of Fury and Joshua would be a massive advantage, and I don't think Usyk could overcome it. And then he says, will Usyk win a title? Yes, if he was to fight Andy Ruiz tomorrow, then I think he'd win the fight by just being himself and doing what he does best. There are only a few guys I don't see him winning against, but he's by far the most skilled fighter in the division, and that will always give him a chance. Watching his moves, that would be interesting. He's an excellent fighter. I'm certain he will do well. Now, listen, I got to talk about this, man. People are criminally underrating Deontay Wilder. You know, it's all a bunch of bullshit. That's why people come to my channel, new media. And it's crazy. The UK has got to stop. The UK, a lot of the commentary sounds so insanely biased where it's laughable. You listen to what the man is saying. See, I don't just react or whatever. I listen to what people said. If you listen to what he says, he's saying multiple times that Usyk doesn't like to be hit, which is something I've noticed too. I've seen him in fights where he got hit and, you know, it looks like a certain reaction. I've seen the same thing with Golovkin, right? So on one angle, he's saying that I think you can knock him out. You know, his weaknesses, it says for his weakness, I still think he's a little bit open and can be caught. And then you're saying Joshua and Fury, who's not even, he's the weakest puncher out of Wilder, Joshua, and Fury. You're saying Fury and Joshua, who conveniently are from the UK, the same place as Tony Bellew, and you know, that is a common denominator. You're saying out of the guy, Wilder hits harder than Joshua, he hits definitely harder than Fury, and they are bigger, But who cares about muscles and height and size when Wilder's clearly the biggest puncher? So this is almost like a walking conundrum. This whole spiel, in my opinion, sounds pretty foolish. You're saying his weakness is he's there to be hit. He could be caught. He doesn't like to be caught. And you're saying the easiest person for him to beat happens to be the most devastating puncher out of the bunch. And you're saying you have to, everybody gets hit in the fight. You know what I'm saying? Usyk, and the thing is, Usyk is not defensively sound like Pernell Whitaker, or this whole shit doesn't make sense, bro. And it's funny because you tend to think that, oh, someone's a fighter, so they'll know the best, but a lot of people have ties to different companies and stuff, and inherent biases. Like Tony Bellew got knocked out by Usyk, so he probably has a natural respect for him. You know, that's just kind of how it happens. Like, you shared the ring, so you might be partial to that person. But this whole thing doesn't, it's like an oxymoron. You said he don't like to get hit, and he's there to be hit, but Wilder's the easiest fight. And you says it's going to be hard to hit him flush and hit him clean because he's defensively responsible, but you also said he's so hard to hit and elusive with his footwork. So he's defensively responsible with this crazy elusive footwork, but you're saying his weakness is he's there to be hit with his chin in the air. You know, this whole thing don't make sense. And then you're saying that Joshua, who's not even a champion anymore, and we don't even know how he's going to look versus Andy Ruiz, you're saying that him and Fury, the two guys from the UK, have a better chance of beating Usyk than Wilder because of their size, and Wilder is an inch taller than Joshua and hits harder than Joshua, and definitely hits harder than Tyson Fury. And then on top of that, you say Usyk has the best skill out of all of them. So you think Usyk is a better boxer than Tyson Fury included. He literally said that. He says Usyk's the best fighter, and he says, I just think Joshua and Fury are too big for him. Fundamentally, he's a much better boxer than all of them, and I include Fury in that. So why would, okay, so you think the key to beat him is to hit him flush. We know Tyson Fury is big, but he has less power than Wilder. So why would you include Fury, who you rate as less skilled of a boxer? You say fundamentally Usyk is a much better boxer than all of them. Then why would you pick Fury and Joshua to be too big for him, especially when Wilder hits harder? You know, so to me, this whole interview, you might as well just scrap it, because it doesn't make sense. And then you bring Andy Ruiz. Listen, the bottom line is Usyk, he got to fight these guys. I love it. I love when old media does this, because they just put pressure on these fighters, you know. And I get the camaraderie. You shared the ring with them, so there's a respect level. But Usyk hasn't proven anything. He hasn't proven that. He hasn't even fought Saturday. We don't even know the Chaz Witherspoon, how he looks in the fight, you know. And they're just putting a lot of pressure, like expecting him to be the Caucasian Evander Holyfield, but he hasn't done that. You know, expecting him to be like David Haye and have some success. He hasn't done it. We still got to see it. So all this stuff is going to look really foolish if he starts going up. And if we're why are we even talking about Fury, who's not even, he's a lineal champ, he's not even a real champ. Joshua is at a crossroads fight, not a champ. And then you're saying, everyone's saying Usyk said Wilder's the easiest. Tony Bellew saying Wilder's the easiest, but he's fighting Chaz Witherspoon and scheduled to fight Tyrone Spongs. Why are you fighting that level of competition as opposed to Adam Kaunowski, Efe Ajagba, you know, Joe Joyce rematch from the amateurs, you know, a more formidable person, Daniel Dubois? Why are we talking about Chaz Witherspoon if you're saying he could beat the only champion, you know, and he could beat Andy Ruiz as well? Like, it's just, I love it. I love it. I love it, because Usyk now is at heavyweight. He's in a tough spot, and even beating Chaz Witherspoon, if he does, that doesn't really prove much. Witherspoon has been stopped by Seth Mitchell, really got stopped by Chris Arreola, but it got changed to a DQ. I know my boxing, you know. Tony Thompson stopped him, so that doesn't really prove that you the leader of the pack, and this is what they want. So to me, this whole interview doesn't make sense. And the funny thing is, Wilder challenged Tony Bellew. He said he'll come down to fight you, and then Tony Bellew said no. You know, because Tony Bellew was talking about Wilder and, like, you know, pretty much not showing respect to his skill set, saying he's the worst heavyweight of all time or something like that. And Wilder's like, okay, oh my God, Tony Bellew, I promise I'll fight you. I think he even said he'll come to cruiserweight to fight Tony Bellew. But I know Wilder challenged him to a fight. And then Tony Bellew said, oh, I wrapped my head. Look, bro. Look. Tony Bellew. He said, Wilder's too big for me. Deontay Wilder, arms, too big. Let's see if I can find it quick. Tony Bellew hugged Deontay Wilder and got scared. See? Let's see how quick I pulled it up. Look. Tony Bellew explains when he realized Wilder was way too big. Tony Bellew explains why he didn't fight Deontay Wilder. You know what I'm saying? So you have all this like criticism of Wilder. Bellew admits that he wanted to face Wilder until they actually met face to face and Wilder gave him a hug. That single moment changed the entire outlook on facing him. I was happy to face him. I thought he's not actually that big, said Bellew to IFL TV. We slapped hands, I hugged him and he hugged me, and his arm literally wrapped around my whole body. It was as though his arm had tickled his chin, and at that moment I knew this was never happening. I am never going anywhere near you. Why should I put myself in danger? Every fight is dangerous as it is, but I'm not going to give people unnecessary advantages. Look. So now he's saying Tyson Fury and Joshua, who just look like shit versus Ruiz, right, got dropped 4 times. I mean, the UK has been taking L's with like Katie Taylor losing, Joshua losing, Josh Kelly didn't look so hot, Eddie Hearn, Dillian White failed drug tests, and no B sample. All these situations, you know, Lomachenko ran through Eddie Hearn fighters like Corolla and Luke Campbell, gave them all blemishes and losses and shit. And then for this interview to come out by Tony Bellew, it just doesn't make sense to me. You know, Wilder tried to scrap with you and then you said no, you know. And look, someone says smart. You say you don't want to fight him. So it's weird. And this, like I said, I don't care if you're from America. I don't care if you're from the UK. I've lived in both. I used to live in the UK as a kid. You know, my dad was in the military. And the thing is, you just got to be realistic in boxing. I think that's what fans want. I get it. You fought Usyk. He's a good fighter. He's a gold medalist and he knocked you out. So, you know, you want to give him his props, but you also want to give props to your fellow countrymen. But this commentary sounds, it sounds really negligent. You know, he's saying Wilder and that's easy. So if he can beat anyone. So Tyson Fury got a fake ass belt, lineal champion. Joshua has no belt. The question is Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, and Deontay Wilder, and you're saying he beats Wilder easy. And people keep saying this about Wilder. They say, oh, it's so easy to beat him and he'll get beat. Usyk said the same thing. Then I want to see him fight someone better than a Chaz Witherspoon. You know, put him in there with Wilder then. You know, because realistically, if we're being honest, I think Tony Bellew was getting to him and landing on him. And that was a competitive fight until Bellew started to slow down. Also, Michael Hunter. That people let the 12th round because Michael Hunter almost got stopped. You know, you can argue that it should have got stopped. That Usyk should have stopped him in the 12th round. But, you know, Michael Hunter gave Usyk a lot of problems. I remember that. It was on an HBO card with Lomachenko, I think, versus Jason Sosa, Alexander Vodstik, and it was the Michael Hunter fight for Usyk. It was a triple-header, 3-way Ukrainian card on HBO when Top Rank was still with him. And Michael Hunter gave Usyk all sorts of problems. Usyk is with Matchroom and Eddie Hearn, and so is Michael Hunter. I want to see a rematch of something like that. Michael Hunter, he's been doing pretty well for himself. You get what I'm saying? Michael Hunter, he's doing well for himself, and he stopped Ustinov, who's not an easy guy to stop. I want to see a rematch of that. People keep talking about fights with Usyk and Wilder gets beat easy. We haven't even seen one fucking fight from Usyk at heavyweight. Oh, media crazy, bro. Michael Hunter, he look good at this weight, you know. See, he just beat Sergey Kuzman, and I told you he stopped Alexander Ustinov, who's not an easy guy to stop. You know, he beat Martin Bakole, who frequently spars with Anthony Joshua, you know, and he gave Usyk some trouble. So he stopped him as well. So I need to see that. I need to see a rematch to something like that, Daniel Dubois, before we even come close to talking about Wilder versus Usyk. Beyond that, Ruiz Joshua winner. It's like there's too much clout chasing in boxing. It's really sickening. People keep clout chasing Wilder. That's how you know he's becoming the name and the money man. He is the money man in the division, especially with Joshua taking that spill and Tyson Fury versus Otto Wallen. Why are people doing this? See, bro, I'll destroy old medium. Why are people doing these interviews now after Tyson Fury looked pretty bad versus Otto Wallen? You know, cut. He you know, was getting, that was an unknown person, and people still have all this confidence. And then Joshua lost 4 rounds, and then people ain't giving Wilder his props. This is laughable at this point. You know, it's like old media. They keep trying it. They want so bad for it to be the fighters that they want to put on the list, but you got to give the man his props. And then people keep talking about Wilder's lack of technique, but guess what? Wilder's getting the job done. He's making people go to sleep. End of story. You don't just put 40 people to sleep and hurt everyone and drop everyone that you've ever faced. That's clearly something there, you know. So this whole thing from Bellew sounds ridiculous. He talking about Usyk gets hit and all you have to do is hit him flush, but it's gonna be hard. But that's what you have to do to beat him, and he doesn't react right when you hit him. And we've seen Usyk get hit by Bellew and Michael Hunter cruiserweights and get respect. They got some respect out of him. And you're telling me that Wilder gets beat easy, just like Usyk is saying, but he's the most incredulous puncher in the division. And he's athletic, he has a good jab, and he's taller than Joshua. So who cares about mass wise and big when Wilder's hitting harder than all of them? Doesn't even make sense. Wilder, in my opinion, is much faster than Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. If you look at his foot speed and his athleticism and how, like, just the maneuvers, like, people are not giving Wilder any props, but he moves quick. Look at how he hit Dominic Brazil, slept him, and then spun out and rolled out. Like, that's a level of athletic. We never seen Joshua move that swift because he's too clunky and he's too big and buff. So, you know, these UK commentators, in their efforts to try to big up their countrymen, they're making themselves look foolish because the commentary is just looking too biased. So this doesn't make sense from Bellew. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. We work. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.